Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Soul Diving Sunday show featuring transformational life coach Shelley Whizin and your hosts Lisa and Nancy. Hey everybody, welcome. It is time to chat with Shelley Whizin, transformational life coach today about self-renewal. Today happens to be Self-Renewal Day, February 2nd. It's celebrated every year on February 2nd, but we don't care if you're listening to this on the 3rd, the 10th, the next month, it doesn't matter. Self-renewal should happen. It's just a wake-up call, right? Shelley, that's what you say in your article.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. Every day could be self-renewal day. And what's interesting is to be able to recognize how important a self-renewal day is. So celebrating it February 2nd is highlighting it, but every day can be self-renewal day.
And we're going through the Lunar New Year. And, this year it's the year of the snake. So it's kind of like shedding our skin and being all shiny and new again, isn't it? Kind of a rebirth.
Yes. And it's interesting. We were just talking about Indian culture for just a split second there. And in the Peruvian Indian medicine wheel, you start in the south, which is the snake, symbolized by the snake, which is more of a renewal. It's a shedding of the skin, shedding of your archetypes, your stereotypes, your history, anything that gets in the way of who you are today.
So it's like letting go.
Yes.
Oh, we like that. We like that. It's like kind of going, this isn't working for me anymore. Let's, it could be anything. It's about contemplation, right? And we do this, at the end of the regular year, at the end of the year before New Year's, then we do the resolutions. And now it's kind of that time where we go, okay, what resolutions aren't sticking? Because maybe they were just what you thought you were supposed to do.
Yeah, what's important is to get in touch with what you do want to do. And what's important is not to should all over yourself and say, well, I didn't do this last year, so I should do it this year. Because it's a setup word that makes you feel bad and doesn't really bring you closer to what it is that you want to do. It just guilts you into doing stuff that maybe you think you should do, but you're not going to do. And then you can say, well, I should have. And just the should gets you in trouble. So, yeah.
This can go in anything in your life, right? So it's not just about pampering yourself or going to the spa, which is all good. I think, that's a fun thing to do to take care of yourself, self-care. We've talked about that before, where it's like, hey, take time out to maybe, do something with your feet and feel good, take a massage day, whatever it is that makes you feel good. But renewal is, hey, this is, what aligns with me, right? So what are some steps we can take towards this rebirth of ourselves?
Well, first of all, it's looking at the whole notion of renewal, not as a selfish act. I think that's number one, because who else is going to take care of this vehicle, this body, this human vessel of ours? Who's going to take care of it other than us? Nobody can go to the bathroom for us. Nobody can exercise for us. I mean, yes, you can get some machines to do that, which is also helpful, but nobody can do it for us except us. So appreciating our bodies, appreciating this vehicle. We only get one this lifetime around. I don't know about all the other lifetimes, but this time we only get one. It's not like a car that you can lease out and every 3 years you get a new model. We don't get a new model. We get this one. So how we're going to take care of this one is up to us. And it's important to take a look at, how do we care for this vehicle, this body of ours, and what kind of care do we give it, and how do we steward it? We're the stewards. Our soul jumped into this body to have a human experience, to have this particular human experience. My soul jumped into me to have my human experience. There's lots of reasons for that. I went into a dialogue once about that. Why did you pick me? Soul, why did you pick me to have a human experience? And actually what I heard was, because you're fun.
Yeah.
You enjoy life and you're funny and you're fun to be with and you're easy to be with and you like to travel. I like being inside of you or outside of you, whatever that is, to have my human experience in you. So we get to make the best of it. We're the stewards of this vehicle.
Mm.
So if we don't take care of it, who's going to take care of it?
Right. So it's kind of like if we talk about the vehicle, right? So we're purchasing a car. That's our personal vehicle, right? So this is the car you're gifted with. This is the car that you came with, and maybe there's something you want to fix or change in the car. You have the ability to do it, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
but you've got to
Absolutely right.
accept who you are first and not should all over yourself, as you say. Like, maybe if you look at your body like, oh boy, I don't like myself because I've got, that extra handlebar. Maybe I need that for, safety purposes.
I gotta hold on.
I gotta hold on, man. I don't know, but it's there. And instead of, going into a wham, 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 you go into, hey, well, this is an opportunity to try something new. I've always wanted to try yoga. Let's try yoga and see what happens to the handlebar, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's kind of how I look at it. And it's like making that vehicle into what is the ultimate vehicle for you. So it's like taking it to get cleaned, taking it and going, hey, you're going to get new shoes, you're going to get new tires. And hey, I'm going to take you on an adventure because if you're happy, I'm happy. If you know what I mean?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool. And
And
we
life is about adventures.
oh gosh,
It's
yes.
totally about adventures. I mean, look at the adventures you take yourself on. I mean, you travel, you go to different national parks, your
Mm,
eyes get to see the treats of life and nature and animals. You get to have the experience of touching and feeling and petting and caring for animals.
mm.
That's soothing. That's
Oh yeah.
something wonderful that you get to experience. So you take yourself on all kinds of adventures. I take myself on different kinds of
Yeah, you
adventures, and
do.
we all do. We all do.
It's life is a trip, man.
It is
You
a
don't have to
definite
take
trip.
acid to go on a trip. But
That's
that's
true.
the thing too. So when we look at the word renew, it's kind of like you are still you, but you're going to try something new. So you're adding this extra layer because if we keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results, right? So about trying to do something new, whether you try something new and it sucks, don't do it again.
That's why
Change the
I
channel,
have
right?
an analogy. Yes, I have an analogy for life. And I'm working on a book called Sex, Spirituality, and Shopping. Could be a
Oh,
one
well.
woman show. I'm not sure yet, but the analogy, in my book, What Do You Bring to the Table? I use food as the analogy for life.
Mhm.
In this book, I use shopping as an analogy for life because you try on experiences, you try on new experiences. Sometimes we're allergic to the experience. We don't like them. It doesn't feel good. So we take off that experience or we get out of that experience and we try on a new one. I mean, the word new is in the word renewal, and it's finding those new places within us that excite us, that wake us up, that make us happy, that feels joyous. And my friend Diana, calls it, she channels Merlin, and
Mm.
they call it soul satisfaction, which I love. So I'm adopting that phrase and using it in my life because when you're around friends that feel nourishing, you know, nourishing our
Yeah,
soul is really important. And it's part of growing, it's part of maturing, it's part of taking opportunities to have experiences that do make us feel joyous. And what
yeah,
is life about if we don't enjoy it? What's the point?
yeah, yeah. Because that's why I say, sleeping is wasted on me. Like it's annoying. And then all of a sudden, like now I'm going through periods of deep sleep and all kinds of weird dreams, man. It's so cool. No, because I don't want to wake up because I know I'm self-create. I'm like co-creating these dreams. You know what I mean? I know this
Yes.
sounds absolutely weird, but listen, life is a trip. And so if I'm going to sleep, I'm creating my own movies. Okay. So that's that kind of thing. So go do what you want, but you don't have to put yourself in the grind for the almighty dollar either. You may want to,
Right.
we need to be self-sufficient and excuse me, sustainable. We've got family to raise and things like that, right? And college and cars, maybe, a new car every few 10 years or something, whatever it is, 5 years, whatever anybody
Right.
does. So there's sustainability, but sometimes we get into this mode that we forget why we're working so hard. Is there a point? Is it just for that? Or do we pull ourselves back and go, oh, am I actually enjoying my work? Because I think that is one of these big traps. And I see a giant shift happening in the world post COVID where people had a lot of time to self renew at home and give themselves new handlebars too. And but came out of this and went, my God, I'm selling my soul to the company store when
Oh,
instead of being with my kids. I mean, there's a balance, and I see people trying to balance that right now. And I think self renewal is part of that, right? Is like putting your priorities, you know, and aligning them as a family too, where you still get to be yourself. But if you have a family, you still have to, that's a separate renewal. Like,
right.
did that make
Because
sense? That was a long
totally, to
way.
me, it made total sense. Because self-renewal is not just about the self. When we feel good, it spills over into our life. So where does it else spill over? It spills over into our family, into our friends, into our workplace. It spills over in every single area of our life. So it's not a selfish thing. How in the
Mm-mm.
world can self-renewal be selfish? Because it's caring for ourselves. That
Yeah.
in itself is a really important factor in our own lives, because if we don't care about ourselves as much as we can, how can we expect somebody else to care about us? It's like if you have a relationship and one person is not doing their homework to grow, to look inside themselves, to do self-reflection, and we care about them more
Mm.
than they care about themselves, or they don't want to change, and we want to we they have homework to do or the self-reflection to do, and we do it for them, that equation doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
because each one of us needs to care enough about our own self that we're going to do something about it. We can't just leave it up to nothing in order to care for ourselves. And it takes an action. And when we bring our best selves forward, we bring our best selves to our families, to our friends, to our communities. And it's like that oxygen
Mm.
mask. I'm recovering from COVID, interestingly enough. So I have that
Yeah.
dry COVID cough. So excuse me. And I'm caring for myself in that. And so it's important to do whatever it takes to be kind to ourselves, to be nice to ourselves, just like you would to a friend.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk to ourselves and about ourselves in an unkind way. And tell me what kind of sense that makes.
No, because that it spills off to the other people that you care and love. And I feel like if you don't take care of yourself, how you're not taking care of others. You're not being a good, if you're crabby all the time because you're in a place where you're angry or you're miserable at work, you're, I don't know, whatever. No, if you're not happy, right? And happy, yummy, delicious life is important. If you're not happy and you don't have joy, then you're going to reflect that on others. So that's why I
Right.
think self renewal is so important, because
So
whatever we go through, we kind of put out in the universe too.
absolutely
We're
right. That's
leaky
absolutely.
vessels.
We're leaky vessels, and when we leak it, it spills out. And when we are, like you say, when we're crabby, we become impatient, we become unkind, we don't allow the other person to be human like
Mm,
we are. We have an expectation of ourselves to be perfect or somebody else to be perfect. And when we have an expectation, it ultimately leads to disappointment. It goes down a spiral: disappointment, judgment,
yeah.
anger,
Okay.
and uh, inevitably self loathing. When we set an intention, which is different than an expectation, then we set an intention that, oh, what kind of human being do I want to be today? Okay, I want to be a kind human being. I want to be a thoughtful human being. I want to be a considerate human being. I want to be a joyful human being. What does it take to be all of those things? And then we step in to another mode of operandi, so to speak.
Yeah.
We become more patient, we become more kind, we become more thoughtful, more considerate, all those yummy, delicious qualities that we actually do desire to be and have and see in the
Mm.
world, you
See,
know.
this is where I think sometimes like doing vision boards and things like that to keep us, because when you go through an exercise of who do I want to be, where do I want to improve, maybe I want to try new things, we go through that and then we go, okay, well, I went through that. Now you got to keep going. You can't just, sit there and write it down once and hope it all works, right? You got to kind of work on this.
Yes, it's practice. It's daily practice, and we all can be better at our daily practice. I call it a spiritual practice.
Mm.
And what is that practice? What will help us sustain it? It's one thing to touch our well-being, our sense of well-being. It's another thing to sustain our sense of well-being. And I believe, and I've seen it in my clients, when we're able to sustain our sense of well-being, then we stabilize our kindness, we stabilize our patience, we stabilize our thoughtfulness, and we can feel that every single day. So how do we get there? There's lots of different practices. We can open up a gratitude journal and every day
Mm.
write 5 things we're grateful for when we wake up in the morning and 5
Yes, we
things
like
we
that.
were grateful for when we go to sleep at night.
Ooh, that's
That's
nice.
just one practice. And that does help. I know when I do that, and or you don't have to write it necessarily, but something happens kinesthetically when we actually physically
Right.
write it.
Hmm.
It comes from well, it starts here, goes up into the mind, comes out the hand, and we actually physically write it. I think we have a lost art, and that lost art is physically writing.
Oh my
We
gosh,
don't
don't
write
look at my
letters
writing.
to each
Oh my
other.
gosh. Oh my gosh. And I think about when I went to school and they taught you how to do cursive and calligraphy and all of that. And now I'm like, I got my knuckles whacked over this. And now for what? Nobody, it used to be
Nobody
that you weren't
writes
allowed to use
anymore.
your calculator. Now everything's just does it for,
Yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting thing, but I really agree with you where you have to put some energy. And I think when you write, you're putting your energy into it in a thought process because you have to look at how you're writing. It slows you down to ingest it, right? So and like doing vision boards and things like that, like to me, because I travel, put it in a little book, make a vision like board in a book because I can't carry a board around. Might could be
right.
interesting, so it's there was a husband and wife team, the Bergamots. They're amazing, amazing musical duo. And I think it was his grandfather or great uncle that passed away and was very concerned politically about this country, about the disconnect between the right and the left, or what everybody wants to, whatever. He wanted to see more unity. And so they had their station wagon, and within 5 days, I think their lease was coming up or something. They packed everything into a storage unit and embarked because they toured anyway on a full-time gig like Nancy and I. And they took their station wagon, I think that they got from him, and went across the country from gig to gig and said they're going to perform every day, bring beauty of beautiful music, because it is beautiful music, to people that will perform every day, no matter what, and get people to sign their car with something about unity or love. And so, they didn't always have a gig. They were running out of money because, listen, I know the road eats more than you'd think of your bank account. And but they got on top of their car and would perform in a park just to do their goal. And people signed everything on this car. And then when they went to Alaska and Hawaii, because they wanted to do all 50 states, they took a piece of the car, like the mirror, and had people sign on that. And that this car, people of all walks of political beliefs came together in unity. And I think it was just this, in watching this great documentary, everyone, a the state of unity, I think it is.
Okay.
And
Is it on
when
now?
yeah, I think you can get it on streaming devices, the state of the
Uh-huh.
unity. um so, and I can send you the link and put in the notes for people too. um
Yeah.
Watching this, and they got it considered for an Oscar last year, which was awesome. But watching this, you could see the change in people becoming something of positivity, no matter what their beliefs. And they had people from all walks of life, all different cultures, signing in saying, we want unity. And it was this
Mm,
signing, it wasn't just talking and blabbing. That
mm,
part was great because they were connecting, but they
hmm.
were physically, when they signed it, they felt like they took a step into the unity. So, the rest of that day, the next day, that glow was probably still part of them.
Right. Now that is a form of
Mm-hmm.
self-renewal.
Yeah.
That is a form of self-renewal because what they're doing is when they set up a goal to perform every day, that brings them joy.
Mm-hmm.
That brings them joy to perform for other people. So that in itself is a form of self-renewal. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to look like just going to the spa and having massages and doing all of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to look that way. It can look all different. When you are feeling nourished, when your soul is feeling nourished and it becomes alive and feels excited about life, that's self-renewal.
Mm.
So it doesn't have to look a particular way, and you can make it up as you go along, whatever it is that soul satisfied. Now if we look use that phrase again, they were soul satisfied when they performed and when they traveled and when they did their gigs. That
Mm-hmm.
satisfied them on a very, very deep soul level. And so we can gauge, well, is this experience soul satisfying? Is this food soul satisfying? Are these friendships soul satisfying?
Mm.
Sometimes we surround ourselves with people that is not quite soul satisfying, but we justify it in certain ways, and maybe it's not a give and share relationship. Maybe it's a give, it's a take relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's taking from you rather than giving to you. And so we want to be mindful of all that.
Yeah, because the renewal is you're supposed to be happy and not drained, sustained,
Right,
sustainable.
right, right.
I remember you talking about meditation, because that's part of my dream thing is it's a meditation that takes you on I trip out, man. Anyway, so no, but this transcendental meditation, I was always interested in it and done so many interviews and interviewed the top people in it, the Maharashi people with the village of it, and I think Ohio or Iowa, I mean, everything.
Mm,
And I always thought it was fascinating that if you were going to teach it, you had to charge X amount. And of course, yes, I understood being, certified to do it and the whole thing behind it. And I remember talking to an Ayurvedic practitioner, and she teaches it, and she was saying the whole point is sustainability. It's not there to make a business, which you should, but why should you
you
give?
should, what?
Oh, yes, I
That
did the shit
word,
on myself.
what?
I shitted on myself. Um,
Yeah.
and she was going, well, that's what people think you should do, or they're fearful. Why are you charging to teach something as beautiful as meditation? And the whole point of that is to teach sustainability and to not be drained by those who just take, take, take. So
Yeah.
it was this lesson, this giant lesson about that, because I always thought that was curious. I was like, you want to make all these positive changes, but you're charging people for it. Well, yeah, why not? Why should you give? I did the should. Why should you? Yeah. Uh-oh. So I say to
Oh,
get, oh, now see, I made you lose your
you
earphone
made
over
my
that.
whole ear fall out of
Her
there.
whole ear came out. But yeah, you know what I mean? That kind of, that balance, so it's
It's a
interesting.
balance.
It's sustainability. I love it. I love it. This is cool. I
Yeah.
like Self-Renewal Day. We should do it
Yeah.
again.
Oh, What?
I
What?
said we could have self-renew. Oh, I said we could do it again.
Yes, we could. I'm so obnoxious. I'm so
I took the
obnoxious
S
about that
and
word. I
changed
don't
it to,
know.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that's
But
okay.
once it
Sounds
starts on me.
softer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it would be
yeah,
fun
it's yeah,
to have like a
definitely.
self-renewal moment every day. That's a good thing. I like
That's
that.
a good thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And why not?
Well, I was going to ask you, like with the bergamots using that, and even us with the tour, right? It's we found that when you really want to go for something, it's sometimes to make sure you do it. Like Nancy and I call it like boxing ourselves in, but we want to be in that box. Like, hey, we're
Mhm.
going to do this. So it's you. Like they made a commitment, and they did it until the end of exactly what they said. They auctioned their car off, and then the person who bought the car, and I think they did it for a nonprofit, as I recall, said, because then they got itchy feet and they went home and then they're like, well, and I had asked them, I said, well, how are you feeling like that? Because they're like, no, we're going back on the road, you know,
Ah,
and so they were able to buy their car back for $1. The man was
ah,
very sweet to do that, very big supporter of
oh,
what they were doing. But I
wow.
wonder about the fact of like to really make this renewal. Sometimes you, instead of just saying, I'm going to do that, you can write it down and everything. You need to create this commitment to it. And I feel like that's what, like, okay, if we're really going to go out and do the parks, we're going to actually do it, pack everything up, let's go 100% in, because it feels like now you're going to really embrace this. You're still doing all the other things you want, but this commitment part needs to happen. So,
That is such an important point, really, because it's the commitment to, first of all, this vehicle, the
mhm,
commitment that, okay, this vehicle is important, and what can I do to keep it safe, keep it healthy,
mhm,
keep it alive? Before we had doctors so many millennia ago, we had plant medicine. I mean, and
mhm,
how did we discover plant medicine? So, the women would go out and do the gathering, and the men would do the hunting, and so they gathered, and they did it by experiment. They took a berry and they ate it, and maybe sometimes it was poisonous, it wasn't so good. But then they started seeing, well, wow, if I did this and I did this, I mean, when you really think about the
mm,
experiments that they did before we had medicine, which is synthetic plants, right? Because everything is based on a plant,
right?
and the healing mechanism, the healing mechanics of a plant, it's just synthetic, made in a lab. So they did a lot of self renewal way back when we didn't have a man and or woman in a white coat to go see. Oh, I'm sick. What can you help me with?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm seeing a holistic chiropractor who does holistic medicine, and we are working on everything from head to toe to see what's going on in my body, to see what's out. And
Mm-hmm.
when excuse me, and when we detect something that's out and we work on healing that, the body starts to heal itself.
Mm-hmm.
So when we remove the obstacles that are in the way from our own body's miracle of healing, then we can start healing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
When we give it up to somebody else and say, I'm sick, give me a pill, then we don't take responsibility all the time for
Oh.
our own healing. It's a fascinating, on one hand, it's a good thing because medicine has saved so many people's lives. And on the other hand, we become so dependent on it that the body doesn't get to heal itself as well, because the pills deplete the vitamins and the minerals and all of those things in the body, so the body doesn't function as well as it could.
Mm.
So it's a balance. It's
It
a
is a
balance.
balance. Well, that's what renewal is about, is re regaining your balance. Because
Yeah.
in finding out where the extremes going, and is it the extreme, like sometimes extreme is good, you know, and sometimes
Hmm.
it's not. And so if you see, like you're saying, are you around someone that's draining you, or you keep giving and giving and giving and never getting any kind of reciprocation, then that's out of balance. So speaking of commitment, tell us about this new program that you have coming out this month in February.
Yes, I'm really, excuse me, I'm really excited about it. It's called Falling in Love with My Soul.
This is
That,
renewal.
yes. And we're going to go on an amazing journey. It's going to be a great experience for people to go inside, to get in touch with the soul, hear what the soul's whispers are, have a dialogue with the soul, and have this renewed relationship. It's totally in line with what
Mhm.
we're talking about today, because it's renewing the relationship between the human and the soul.
Cool.
And what better relationship could we possibly have that sustains our well-being is that internal love affair between the human and the soul. I'm very
Cool.
excited. It's happening February 16th. It's on a Sunday morning between 10 to 12-ish. I say 12-ish because depending on the shares, depending on the depth of the experience,
Mm.
it will go maybe till 12:30, but I'm just thrilled about it. I'm excited. It feels
And this is
yummy,
an
delicious.
online
It's an
event for
online
people.
event. You can go to my website, ShelleyWhizin.com, and there's a link to register, and it's free.
Mm.
And I hope you'll join us. It'll be an experience. Why not be with your soul on a Sunday morning?
It sounds perfect. It sounds perfect. Then
Yeah.
you're ready for Monday in this really
Yeah.
positive Mondays. People are always like, "Oh no, it's Monday." Well, that's a sign. Um,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
you want to have a happy Monday. Um,
Yes.
I will make sure the links are in the episode notes, everyone, for Shelley's article we were talking about, her link to her website, the workshop, the online workshop, and if I can find the bergamots one, I'll put that in there too, so people, because it's something inspiring, to
Yes.
think about, and just taking that action. I really believe in that power of the pen. The power of the pen is not just the words; it's about the action and the energy that goes into it. So I think that's a beautiful thing. So, Shelley, happy Self Renewal Day to you.
Thank you. And you too.
Everyone will be back in March on the very first Sunday of every month. Take care and happy Self Renewal Day to you all, too.
Thank
I should
you.
say,
It's your
y'all.
life. It's your life. Enjoy the journey. Remember to bring love into everything you do and a lot of humor along the way.
Yes, we want the humor for sure. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Soul Diving Sunday show featuring transformational life coach Shelley Whizin. Follow Shelley at ShelleyWhizin.com. Follow us at BigBlendRadio.com.